Hi, folks.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Many of you, it looks like, don't have your camera on or aren't showing yourselves, which is completely fine. Although we'd love to see you. If at any point you decide that you'd like for us to see you, come on in
And watch us just be
Hi.
gleeful
Yeah,
as we
watch us
see
be
you.
happy to see you and kind of happy to see each other
Yeah.
also. Um, it's always very fun about Zoom. I know lots of us have felt like, God, I'm so over Zoom, but there is some lovely interactive elements to this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that we can kind of play together a bit. Um, Today we're gonna play.
As ever.
As ever. As ever. And we're hoping that you are going to enjoy the lovely redwoods behind us because we're here at our farm with thousands of trees. And the flowers in the background that you're looking at there are right from our driveway, from our garden. In Northern California, we get a lot of these come August. They're called naked ladies. They're these beautiful lilies. And so we're here at the farm Sunday morning.
Farm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
it's a misty, rainy time here.
Yeah, we've been
very quiet,
really, really still forest with a kind of a drizzly, saturated redwood. It's very gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And in the yurts and the trailers and stuff, we get to hear that like drip, 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 drip of all of the wet on the roof. It's been gorgeous. So a perfect late August or mid-August Sunday morning here. And the joy of today, we're just going to talk through the our personal journeys with embodiment. Really still for it, for the kind of if you join us, which we want you to join us because we want to see you, you have to do something with your mic so we don't hear your mic at the same time. Oh yeah, we have to mute you.
Yeah,
I think our co-host
on it. Yeah,
we'll do it. Austin will mute you guys all. Yeah, so we're going to talk about embodiment, but specifically and joyously, we're going to talk through our personal journeys through it, and we really want to include you guys too. So we're going to talk about just like different stages and different years that we've taken the course and what we discovered in ourselves and what kind of illumination that brought forward and what that meant for our own evolution moving on. And then and in there, we'll open it up to hear from you guys that have taken the course or been with us and hear how that process has been. And also we'll open it up at the very end for Q&As. There's a bunch of you guys that we have seen or been with that we'd love to hear from, even just to say hi, it's all lovely. So I guess the first thing I want to do though is make sure that we do an overview. So generally, let me tell you the history. I built this class. This was the very first class that I ever built, was the embodiment class. And it was a beautiful personal exploration in my own life. So I have lots of body karma. If you've been following any of my work online, if you follow any of my, any of the Buddha, but gas pumps, you know that just a tremendous amount of body karma. It's an area of my life that I've really struggled with a lot. And so this first course for me was to actually I felt like I was listening to what was delicious, but I needed data points. So I invited a group of students I had been working with at the time. There was about 15 of them, and to come in and play with me and practice the same kind of delicious information that was happening for me. And these 15 students were all over the world. They had different levels. Like some people had no body karma at all. It was just not an area. It was just all fine. They didn't think about it very much, but they had a lot of karma in career and finance, or they had relationship karma or something. And it was men and women. It was different ages. Some people in their mid 60s and some people in 18, 19 years old. So it was a nice little R&D group, a really great opportunity for me to play out this information that I was exploring and work with them. And we went really slowly, and I think we took 6 months or something that first time through. and just was like really listening to our systems. And then an extraordinary amount of information was collected out of that from all of us. And I was so delighted and thrilled. And so then I ran the course a few more times, and then we had exactly the same. And there were bigger classes, but we had all the same data points. Like it was coming in at exactly the same data points. And so that's how I knew this was it. Like this was it. Like we had the research. So then I started to run the course and record the course. And then after we did that for 3 years, I think, so it was like 5 years, still collecting data, still collecting the same data points. Like it's all coming in really consistently for everybody. Then I took another, I think, year and a half, and we spent like probably over 400 hours editing the recordings, and going through all of the various students' work and like all of our work together and combining it into what it is today. And I wanted it recorded and edited because when you do a live course, like even now we're doing this live call, because so many of our community is all over the world, right? Lots of our communities in Australia or Russia or Indonesia, Japan, Latin America, to get one single time zone in which everybody's available for practice doesn't work. It just doesn't work like that. So it was about, when did we launch these? Like 2014, maybe, was when that completed process of the edited and 2015, 16, 17, 20, it would have been like 2017 probably, when the whole process was completed. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. Yeah, because it's 4 years that it's been this recorded process. So anyways, the point is that, juicy, really juicy. As a result, this remains my favorite course. I love to take this course. I love what happens in this course. I love the process that unravels for each of us. Now, you guys mostly love the Course in Fearlessness, which is the 4th course. So just for anybody who's with us, and just to confirm this, in these deeply immersive long form courses. So these are not the little, 9 days to delicious yes, or 7 days to purpose, or 10 days, which are gorgeous. Those are great little intense little private courses to work on your own. But these immersive courses put you right inside community, right inside our whole group of family, really, that is made up of really devoted people who are really committed. And most of our community is like read tons of work, has done deep personal work, has done the work. And so you end up with quite a mature group of people who are really mature. They've done a lot of personal development work, and now they're ready for this level of precise, intricate alignment. So coming into the community is what happens in these immersive classes. And the class themselves has a lot of interactive movements with it. You get assigned a buddy who you talk to every week. You have the option to have more than one buddy. You could have a call every day. You get emails from me almost every day. You get like a class assignment. You get an audio to listen to. You get feedback from past students and the data points that I had collected. You just get to watch their process. You get our gorgeous class boards, which are online, which are a very intimate, really exposed place that has a lot of really in-depth connection and community. And there's a reason for that. One of the reasons that we have that level of community is because when you're doing something that is so intricate and so precise and so radical, like really, really radical, like no one else is doing it. Like no one else is doing this level of delicious, this level of fulfillment, this level of embodiment, actually. Yeah, literally. And freedom, like this level of total freedom. You need to be surrounded and mirrored by people who are doing that also. And it's because there's times when you're just like in your own world, whether that's your work world, your family world, your community world, and they're all like moving with effort and and
programming and
conditioning. And really disconnected from themselves. And it starts to feel like, am I the only person in the world who wants this freedom, who wants this level of liberation, or who wants this level of healing? And it's so great to be in a group of people who are doing the same as you and mirroring back, like, no, this is really working. This is really delicious and really fulfilling. And so the immersive long form classes put you into community. There are 3 classes per year, like 3 semesters. I always say it's like adults who get to go back to college, and you get to go back to college with like all your best friends, and like just the, like how it's like all those same people are always there, and you love those people or you hate those people. I don't know. We don't have much hate those people. It's pretty love. Because it's so intimate, And
the classwork is just delicious.
Exactly. It's your life. It's liberating your life. So in that program, we take embodiment as the first semester, accelerated healing is the second semester. We have a little summer break, and we usually have a family reunion, which we call retreat, but you guys call festival. You guys call it Love Fest. We call it formally more like retreat. But that's our little summer break. And then we have the fall, the third semester, which is Course in Fearlessness. And as a community, we take these semesters over and over and over and over again. So today, really what we're talking about is my experience taking these courses over and over and over again. So I know I built the courses and I made the courses and I collected the data and I edited it. I still take the courses. It doesn't change the fact that the process remains the same. And there's not, the thing I always say is we're not looking for a life that doesn't have triggers, that doesn't have challenges. Yeah. We're not looking for that life, like, because life is full of evolution, and evolution is where all the juice is. Now, we can go from challenges and triggers from a really chaotic space, or like the level that Meghan and I live in, was profoundly free, incredibly fulfilled, pretty much get everything we want whenever we want it in like crazy, astounding ways. And we still get triggered and we still get challenged. And there's an immense freedom that's here. But it's because of the up level, because evolution keeps getting richer and deeper and bigger and more fulfilling and bigger visions. And that still triggers. And so the process of how we work with life and how we work with our own freedom remains the same, no matter the level that you're at. So the course itself, the embodiment course itself, is in 3 sections. It's sort of 3 months long in these 3 sections. I guess I like three courses, just, I don't know, fits. So the first stage of the course is often the course that most people overlook the most. And it's really a foundation. It's such a foundation. And a lot of time for a lot of people, the first go through, they kind of skip this first stage. They kind of just skip it. And what it is it's these very precise instructions of how to hear signals in your body. So we have all kinds, our body is talking to us all the time. Our being is talking to us all the time. It's giving us so much information, and we habitually override it in really obvious ways, because we feel very disconnected. We feel very drained. We feel very depleted. Or in very subtle ways where we thought this was right. We thought this was right for us. And then it glitches, or it blows up, or it doesn't have sustainability to it. And we can't figure out what's going on, in these subtle ways. And so in all ways, it becomes about learning how to hear your body and hear the signals of your body. And so it's this really precise instruction. And we start with some of the basics that everyone can hear anyways, like just with our belly, like we can hear hunger, or we can hear full, we can hear tired, like restless. Like there's these sort of, we use these like anchor ones, like, what really hungry feels like, or what really tired feels like, or what restless feels like, And so we use that as the anchor, and then we like invite you into more and more subtle, like sensitivity of and hearing these signals. And so so the first week and the second week, we really just focus on food, trying to get the exact precise food that your belly is specifically asking for. And this is a miraculous piece. It's so fucking miraculous. And in the data points in that very first course that I did, every single person, when we slowed it right down and we made that the thing, it was incredible how the belly started to talk to people and what it started asking for. And almost in every case, at some point, there was this ancient food being asked for, like genetic DNA line of food. Like we had, like I had people of thought that they had German Irish roots asking for like African recipes coming right out of their stomach, like things they didn't even know these food. They didn't even know what these foods were. And like their belly was like asking for like this very specific recipe. And it was like a traditional Nigerian stew. And then they find out like that there's a genetic history there. And they eat that food, and the food is like, it does something to their system. Like it changes their cell structures in really harmonious ways. And so there's that level. The other thing is the belly starts asking for this food that has these levels of pain body history to it. Like you totally forgot that you used to eat, Fruit Loops, like when your parents fought, your parents would fight and you would make a big bowl of Fruit Loops and sit in front. And like, you find yourself, your belly is like literally asking for this food. And it suddenly brings up this whole memory of that stress that your system was under, and starts to like basically begin the unraveling, and for you to have some deep understanding of the level of stress and pain that those events were in your life. So there's that level that your belly is talking to you at also. And then there is this great way that the belly will talk to you about imbalances in a way that is completely different than what you think it is. And so like you might think, oh, I eat a lot of like fruit and veggies, but maybe not enough carbohydrates, or maybe I eat too many carbs and I need to eat less carbs, or whatever it is our story is, or we need to be vegetarian, or I need to watch my weight, or sugar is really terrible for me. Every time I eat sugar, I get terrible allergies, or dairy is the worst, fats, whatever our story is, right? We'll have a story and we feel like we have proof of it. Like we eat dairy and we get really sick, And then suddenly when you're listening with this level of precision, your belly wants dairy at every fucking meal, and it wants like nothing but dairy. It's like,
that was me. And then later found out I was from 600 years of dairy farmers on my father's side and 100 years of farmers on my mother's side. And yeah, I'll just eat cheese, put butter on everything, and absolutely had the story that this was going to give me gas. Not one bit.
And it turns out there was other elements giving gas, right? It wasn't the dairy. It wasn't the dairy. And I had it with sugar. One year when I was going through the course, I swear to God, I ate nothing but donuts. Like the precise information was donuts. And I'm not good with wheat. I'm not good with sugar. I'm not good with dairy. Like my body can't handle it. It just turns into belly fat. My body can't digest it properly. I can't turn it into energy. And this whole semester was probably all 3 months. Every meal was donuts. Donuts. One, I had no reaction. Now, if I eat a donut when my belly is asking for something else, I will have a reaction. I will have quite a violent reaction. But if the belly itself is saying donut and I eat donut, digests beautifully.
Of course.
Becomes this incredible energy source.
Yes.
Became thriving. And man, oh man, did it burn through my story of sugar and fear and weight. And so there's this level to it. And so lots of times when people take the course for the first time, they'll get to this and they'll be like, oh, I'm good with food. Like, I don't really have a food thing. I just eat what I want. It's no problem. And they skip it. And it's like, dude, like don't skip this piece. Yeah. This piece is so important to learn the precision of your belly. Yeah. And lots of times people will be like, oh, I know this is intuitive eating. I know the intuitive eating process. Yeah, it's intuitive eating. I like that. It's so not. It's so not. This is not you like testing and playing with your intuition. This is a very precise map. It is a repeatable, precise, direct map that you have to absolutely tune in and absolutely listen to. You know, it's a little bit like saying like science is intuitive. Like it's actually not. You have to do the research and the development. You've got to go test. You've got to go test it. Like, and so in the first year through the class, it's often like year 3 before anybody actually pays attention to these first few pieces, right? And like there's Leela nodding. Okay, so Leela, tell us about what your belly is doing. Can you unmute Leela, co-host?
Oh, I can unmute myself. What my belly is doing right now, it's kind of finding a very fine-tuned, very, very different diet or type of foods I eat. So right now I almost only eat protein, fruit, and salad. But then today I had pasta. So
but how you used to eat in a way. Like
I used to eat a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar, and I was very convinced that that's what my body wanted because my body was asking for it for a long period of time. And so you said like the first time you do the course, you can hear donuts or whatever. So for me, the first year or 2 going through the course was mostly like just allowing everything to be on the table, you know, like coming out of depletion mode. So I ate a lot of white bread and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden that was done. And now year 4 or 5, I don't know. It's like, so all you want, my dear belly, is fish and salad. And then occasionally a plate of pasta.
Yeah. There's something so delicious about that too, which is that the way through our habitual program and conditioning, whether it was because you had a lot of body karma, like, so you had a lot of like hangups around like food, like whether that's food allergies or whether that's weight related or whether that's like family or finances, like I can only afford to eat something, like whatever that piece was, your programming. Yeah. In the first few years, it'll just go, your belly will just give you the exact instructions to like wipe that out. And exactly, it's like to like finally be able to eat all the freaking potatoes I want, or eat all the chocolate I want, or eat finally like the really good quality food that I want. And that it's just being provided for. Like,
that's the other huge miracle.
That's, yeah. That's the really big, which is actually brings us into like the second stage of the movement. Okay, so the second stage of the class is where we go directly for all of our presets. So this is about week 4 in the class, and we're looking at those presets, and the presets are more like, lots of them we've been talking about, like lots of storylines about like, maybe I'm supposed to be vegan, or maybe I'm supposed to be vegetarian, or it's way better for me if I don't eat sugar, or
this many calories a day.
Yeah. Or also just like, I do this kind of fitness, so I need to have this kind of protein amounts.
All of it.
Yeah. All of it. Or
positions,
the allergies that I have. But then in the second section, we go to the bigger movements where we are making these judgments constantly in our system, mostly about ourselves, but obviously because it's about ourselves, we project it onto others. And it might be just something as like, that person's healthy, that person's not, or that person's really sexy and that person's not, or that person's old and this person's not, or like there's all these ways that we're walking through the world, especially like a public corridor, and we're making all kinds of subtle judgments and projections about another person that we think are accurate. We think these are accurate projections, and they are hugely inaccurate, hugely inaccurate. So I invite you into a process, into the second stage of just cutting it. It's this really sweet, really beautiful, really simple process, kind of like stage one. Like I show you exactly precisely how to listen. Like I give you the exact instructions. And so I give you this exact perfect way to just cut it, just completely cut it. And it kind of swings it in the opposite direction. And then you start to be so exposed to the inaccuracies that you would have bet were accurate. And what it does is it really shakes the sense of your story about yourself. Because if it's so inaccurate about the story of them, then it must be terribly inaccurate about the story of you. And that's where we start to go in the second stage. And it's a wider space of our receiving information about another body and another being, and how we are attaching all these storylines and projectors and filters to it, and none of it's accurate. And then it just mirrors back to ourselves that we are so inaccurate about our story for ourselves. And that's fucking amazing.
It's fucking amazing.
It's fucking amazing. I remember how I discovered that. Like I remember literally sitting at a grocery store, like a kind of a health food store, like in the United States, we have these Whole Foods, but kind of a chain of very high-end, super healthy, and lots of food art, like the food is so gorgeously displayed. And so I was in one of those stores, and I was watching this woman, and I was very spacious and very clear at that time. And there was just this like movement coming down on me of like it wasn't what I was projecting. It was like something in the field, like in the bigger field, that was just saying like, beautiful, beautiful, so beautiful. And it wasn't like my mind thinking this is beautiful and looking for beauty. It was a wash, like just like a big wash in how the human species loves beauty and how important beauty is.
How true beauty is.
And it was sort of like a wash of true beauty. And then I could look up and I could see this woman, and I could see all of these movements of her that were beautiful. Like, and so maybe there was like, for lack of better, maybe there was like 10 things that were super beautiful, like her eyes, her smile, the way she was holding the cart, those shoes she was wearing, whatever. Like it was like, and then I could turn and there was somebody like completely different in the same, there was still 10. And maybe it wasn't their eyes or their shoes or their, but it was like their skin, their posture in their pelvis, their hair, like, it was specific and precise. Like, it wasn't like generally like everybody's so beautiful and I love beauty and oh, it's so groovy. Like, no, it was like I'm such a player of practicality. Like, I don't love the pop out. I love the precision and the detail. And it was in that precision and detail. And then I turned to somebody else and it was like the same 10, like not different things, but still 10. And then it was like, and so I remember going for like 2 weeks, and every time I could look, it was always the same 10. There was always 10. And it didn't matter how old they were, how air quote healthy they were, how symmetrical their features were, how clean their hygiene was, how matchy their clothes were, how inhabited in their body they were. Like,
still beautiful.
It was still these 10 points. There was still that, like everybody, for, like, just to kind of give a range, it was like everybody has 10 and not more than 10. Like, it's like, if 10 is the range, if that's our science data, 10 is it, the most gorgeous fucking mediated story of beauty, like, I don't know, some fucking model or something like that. And that's like the most beautiful. There'd be 10 points. There's 10 points, but then you could take and see that across the board, it wouldn't matter who it was or how it was. There was 10 points. There was still 10 points. And it was like, wow, like oneness.
So much.
It's so one. It has to be one. Like, and it just became like, oh, fuck. Of course, it's this one energy coming in and making us precisely, specifically, and uniquely from the same material. Mm-hmm. So it's not like some people have more privilege because they were put with more symmetricality. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's literally the same fucking Play-Doh that we're all built out of. Like, we all have exactly the same material, and however it's applied is actually beautiful. The problem is our filter of it, our story of it. It's our story that's the fucking issue, not it, which we can really see, like in my world, having so much karma around like weight. Like that was a really big piece. It was a really big piece of my childhood abuse. It was a really big piece coming from the world. It was a really big piece. And to be able to recognize that, like, the story isn't me. The story is weight. Like, it doesn't actually exist. It's not a real thing. Meghan has such a great way because she didn't have that. So she was like,
there's no such thing as weight. I haven't been weighed for 25 years. Like, I'm like, what? Stop.
It's a story.
It's a story.
It's a complete story. It doesn't actually exist.
No.
And I'm actually experienced from one of our students, like, if my belly is asking for zucchini and I don't start telling a story, like, where do we get zucchini? And zucchini are not in season, and I have to go to work, and what's kind of like zucchini that I have, like, if I don't do any of that, if I just hear zucchini, then there will be a restaurant in front of my face that I have never seen or noticed before. And the daily special is like grilled zucchini. And this is part of that stage 2. In the stage 2, where you start to watch this, like, my body was asking for, we were talking about food analogy, but part of the first stage, we also do like exercise and just the movement of the body. And it's like, my body is asking for like a kickbox class. Like, it wants to like, wants to fight. It wants to like, really high intensity, really do something intense. And then it's like, but that's not good for my joints. That's not good for my system. I don't know where I fit it in. I have to work and I've got the kids or whatever, like, there's just no way. But if I don't lean into those stories, if I check all those stories, right, and I just like open the space, it's like, it turns out there's a half an hour kickbox class at my workplace that just started yesterday. Like, it just appears. It just appears. And if you're willing to take it, if you're willing to risk it, like, because a lot of people walk past it. I think we have, some of us are in like year 5 or 6 and just noticing how much they walk past it. That life is putting it up, and then just walking over it and just walking over it and just walking over it. No. Or giving it back, or just give, like life will be like, I just got you a work would be like, I just bought you a free kickbox, series at my gym. And they're like, oh, it's too much. It's too much. I can't really accept that. I need to give that back to you, even though it was their body was asking for it. So stage 2 to that. And then the last piece of stage 2 is really examining the level of safety inside of the body. And it's kind of the first process, but we do this in every single one of our classes, is we really saturate in the level of safety that's actually real and tangible and present for all of us, regardless of our trauma, regardless of our habitual pull away from, our habitual push ourselves towards, because we have to make it happen or we have to figure it out, when in fact, life so freaking has us, because it's actually the thing breathing you in this moment. It's actually the thing that's asking you for kickboxing and zucchini, like, it got ya, like, we've been safe, like, we're safe. And so we do a deep dive into that safety. And I would say it is probably year 3 or 4 before anyone actually shows up for that week. I would say first, second year, people absolutely are like, what? I totally forgot. I zoomed out completely. Like, what were we supposed to do this week? What was the homework? It's just like, boom, 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 gone. Which is fine. Like, this is why we come back into the process and we do it again and again. Simone, who's probably, I don't think Simone's with us. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, if Simone was here, she's got a great piece about stage 2, which is like the first year she took the embodiment class. She's like, I didn't even know what the fuck. What? Like there was so much that she couldn't do, didn't do, couldn't figure out.
20% at most.
Maybe 20% of the course at most. It didn't change the fact that by the end of the year, she had run a triathlon that she'd never, ever run like that before, sold her business, opened a new business, started a new business, massive up levels in her whole freaking life in terms of freedom and liberation in the way that matters to us in this community, which is very practical as well as conceptual. Mm-hmm. And so there's no request that in the first year you do more than like whatever it is that you're going to do, whatever you're going to do. So is there anyone who got like that second stage stuff because we always get like great stories out of that one.
Yeah.
I remember one woman one year sitting she was an MLA or something. And so she was sitting in a caucus meeting with like 300 or 400 people, like, and all those sort of politician spaces. And the download of like beautiful was occurring, like this incredible thing. And she was watching like politics itself as this like extraordinary display of like uniqueness and diversity and beauty and like shocking that like it wasn't what you think it is at all, and certainly not this like really unsafe like high stake game, but it was literally just this like
so much safety,
just so safe and totally beautiful, and just an orchestration of like beautiful expression of diversity. It was like there was that year. Since so many wild things, like people dying, like their parents or their family, or even I had one year I had a student whose baby died, whose child died in that stage, and to watch that from the place of like, and then just like this descending into beauty, this descending into safety, and the radical experience of that, to be safety like
everywhere, so safe,
like the worst thing imaginable to any human ever, like the biggest tragedy that could ever happen occur, and it's not a tragedy. It was beautiful and safe, like shocker, real fucking shocking, and such a blessing and such an intelligence that they were in class at the time and in community and with us to make it through like that again. That's life, like that layer of safety, like plugging you in right there, so you had all the support to walk through the greatest horror any of us could ever imagine, or certainly one of. So that's been in stage 2 as well. It's profound. Okay, stage 3. Should we go through stage 3? Stage 3 is like this is the reason it's the first class of the semester, or like of the year, of the new year. And it's because we build a blueprint, like specifically you write a blueprint of your habits and patterns and core beliefs that you have now harnessed. Like you've now got all your own data of like where you check out, where you're blanking out, where you have a preset condition, where you have a preset story. And where in the third stage, we track that back to, so what is that core belief? What is that core story? And where did that come from? Like, how did you get that? What is that programming and how did you get it? And you start to draw a map of your own wiring, basically, your own internal wiring. And it's very, again, incredibly precise document of like specifically your wiring and the wiring that is in the way of your own freedom. And then the back half of that, which is that in itself is very surgical in its experience. Like quite often the first time people go through that and they're starting to extract what those belief systems are and starting to put other systems. Like I've had people fall asleep halfway through a sentence on me. Like they're like, it's like just, or just this excruciating, like, it's like a festering splinter that's all, pussy and
I don't want to go there.
I don't want to look. I don't want to see it. Please don't make me see it. Please don't make me look. Is the feeling of going there, but then having this supportive community and having my really precise map of how to do it. Like I make it easy, and then you pull it out, and then fuck the liberation,
the relief and liberation. Yeah,
it's shocking. It's like, wow. And lots of times that, like, especially if it's your first year through, like you kind of just maybe 20% of that exercise, like, and then you just like, and then you're like out. Yeah. You're not coming back for the rest of the class. Like, you're just like, oh my God. Like, you pulled, like, you sort of got a half splinter out.
Yeah.
And then
you touched it.
Yeah. You touched it. You're done. Like, you're done.
There's stuff there. I get that there's stuff
there. I get there's stuff there. I get it. I get that the problem isn't the injustice out here. It's my story and belief in myself. Or I get that there's there isn't this limitation at all to life. I get it. And that's all I'm going to look at. And that's all I want to know. And also I hate Kiran. She's the worst.
Yeah.
And then there is more to that cycle in the class, which is we come in and we build ourselves a really beautiful and precise map out of that. So we create a blueprint on the blueprint that is the one that leads you to liberation, that leads you to the truth and reality. So you pull out the really, really painful one, and then you implant on top of it the one that is true, that is accurate, that represents the freedom and the liberation in your life. And it's very specific and precise and unique to fit your wiring.
It's your specific tincture of medicine, for your system.
It isn't a one size fits all. It's not even the same year after year. They're often similar year after year, but they can also be radically different. So let's open it up. Let's talk about that stage for you, and open it up for anyone else who's here to talk about that stage. What have you seen? What for you?
For the blueprint stage.
Yeah. When did you actually do a real truth statement? What year through?
Yeah, it was probably year 3. I got a couple kind of true, helpful, but not all the way dialed in until probably year 3. And
so this system, here's pain, and then putting the real one. It was probably year 3 before you could show up for that. And
I'm a committed gal, but
really detailed.
But it's just part of it. And now I love the truth statements, and it's a constant dialing in. It's a daily practice, and I love the belief system that this is going to hurt too badly, or I can't do it, or all the things that would block the precise surgery for me. I don't believe those thoughts anymore. That's been surgically removed, those filters have been surgically pretty removed, so that I can see what's actually true, which is how delicious the healing is, how juicy it is to go in and pull those out. My favorite class, I love them all, but is Accelerated Healing, where we go and heal. And I had so many beliefs about that being a terrible process, and none is true. So at this point, I've fallen in love with that map out. And I love to tinker with it and get those truths really right. And then when you find it, it just feels true. It just your bones go, yes. It's like drinking nectar. It's like the tincture that you exactly needed, built just for you. And Kiran walks you right there if you're willing to go. And it's cool. It's so cool that you just are willing to go this far each class, and life will keep deepening it. It does it for you. You don't have to make yourself do it. It's trust the process. It works.
Yeah. Anybody else? Cami, Leela, who else we got here that have stories of that?
Austin, if I do gallery view, is that going to help us on our end? Probably. Yeah. Let's do this. There we go.
Cool. Good.
I see more faces.
Yeah. So quiet. There's a few more.
I have an example of a truth statement that you helped me get to, Kiran.
Great.
That's a good example of precision. I think the belief was most days are a struggle. And then the truth was, in this particular pain body, some days I'm 20% hooked into it, some days 60%. Life is still living life and life is easeful. And it just like cut in so much deeper than, and that's one I still have to come back to. But it was so helpful just to point directly at it and be like, this is the belief. We're not even gonna like twist that like the experience is pleasurable, but just point right at where awareness is identified and then what's actually happening.
I know. Super helpful. I love this example too, because it shows you it's like one solid reorientation to what is accurate can like really expose all of those, like many of our conditioned patterns. And then, but it's also like, and then, but we literally have to keep visiting it. Like we forget it a minute later because it's so familiar to go back to our conditioning. And then we have to like I can read or that particular one for you, Britta, is like, you know, you could read that 20 times a day and it's still a surprise. Right? Like it's still like, oh my God.
And I still resist it.
Right. Or the system's like, no, it can't be true. Yeah, I know, right? Just one good one. Mm-hmm. But then it's so cool too, because it's like, then you find that, right? And then you'll write it on the Slack boards or on the community boards, right? And then everyone's like, you know, because we're one. So it has this movement of like, fuck, like it shatters my conditioning too. And it's like, such a good wake up call, you know, like I love it when you guys start writing like your truth statements down. Or like Cammie has it, she's starting to keep a journal now. Like she's putting a whole book of just truth statements, and we're all thriving when you just randomly read some.
And it happens to be the exact one we needed in that exact moment. The intelligence of it is divine.
Yeah. So it's like Britta did the work, but we all in.
Yes.
What were you say, Cam?
I'd say truth statements are this was year 4, and it's like only this year did I find truth statements. But it's like, I think one of my favorite practices. So when we have the buddy calls, often I'll just like read them out. And so I read them out, then they get reflected back, they get witnessed, and it just like, just really marinates. And I like, sometimes it's just that one really sweet one, like Britta said, but other times it's just the collection. Just like,
just to have a whole like 16, 17, and then it just like reorients where you were sitting.
Yeah. And I'm never far from one. Like I've got my phone. That's like my latest one.
Yeah. What's your latest one? If you're willing to share, you don't have to.
I would love to share. I would love to share it. Hold on. Let me just find it. Hold on. This one. Okay. Also, like most of them they're just like Kiran's words, but in a different order.
Great. I'll be the fountain of truth. If your system can hear it, though, is the win. Yeah.
Right. I don't know how life will support me, but it will. Lean into the I don't know instead of I need to make it happen. And then life comes up underfoot.
Oof. That's a good one. Yeah, true. Say it one more time. Bring it again.
I don't know how life will support me, but it will. Lean into the I don't know instead of I need to make it happen. And then life comes up underfoot.
Lucas beautifully taking notes. Are you writing that down, Lucas?
That's it. That's how
nice. I love that willingness, brother. I love that willingness. Yeah.
Yum, right. It's so yummy. It recognizes itself. It's so true. It's just on its face, just so true.
Can I give you an example of like how it just came alive for me yesterday? I was like at home just feeling triggered and raw. And the belief was like, oh, I'm in pain body and there's no way I'm going to get out of this. And like, that's just the rest of my day now. And so coming back to the truth statement, just like, I don't know, but life is gonna, like, it's gonna meet me. And then I like did some off-gassing, and then the delicious was identified, which was go roller skating. Like, that is my yes. Like, I want to go to a roller disco. I didn't know how, like, I was kind of like, I'm just going to put it out there. So I met some friends and for a drink, and I was like, guys, I'm just going to put this out there. Like, you may want to or not, but like, this is what I'm feeling I want. I want to go to a roller disco. And one of the guys literally like took his sunglasses off and went, oh! It turns out he'd been like that for that exact same day. That was what he wanted the most in the world, but his girlfriend didn't want to go, and so he didn't want to push her. Nah. Anyway, so we all went like to a roller disco, and it was amazing.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yes. Fuck yes. And like, that's what we're talking about in terms of precision, right? Yes. It's not just like, I'll sit in the I don't know and I'll let life do it. It's like a fucking roller disco, people. It's like roller skates on at the roller disco. And I love that mirror where the guy's like, that is my greatest dream in this moment. Like, oh my God. Like, to be able to like have that level of freedom for everybody, you know, and that level of alignment. Because then we sometimes talk about, and then because you found that place, or because life put it, because you were open, right? You were sitting in the unknown. You were sitting in the, I really don't fucking know. I do not know. And then, so there was space to let life put it under you. And you were willing to take this huge risk, right? Like, I don't know, you know, like to actually risk it where he wasn't willing to risk it, right? Like, he wanted it, but he couldn't risk for it, right? But you went for the risk, you know, and what that, like, we can imagine, like all of us on the call can imagine like what that means for him for the rest of that day, what level of risk he's going to do moving forward, you know, and his just like, even just like dials it, maybe he gets 10% more freedom this week.
Yeah. And everybody who witnessed that, you know, whatever theirs was that was kept inside and hidden a little bit, they're going to risk more. They can see the magic, you know, to witness that is inspiring.
Oh God, I love it. That was great. That's a great story. That's a great story. I freaking love
and
it.
Even just like, you know, like telling it now, like that's the wind kind of continuing to ripple.
Exactly. Exactly. Like it, because you let life go under you, because you risked it, we're winning that level of freedom today. You know, like Lucas is going to read that belief system 4 times this week, you know, like, and actually get this bit of an adjustment, you know, like we're winning, like, because it's just this one movement. And it was a movement that came from life, not our mental contortion of what it's supposed to be. Hooey, that shit is fucking hard won. I mean, it seems so simple because it's simple, but damn, it's hard won. Yeah. Love that story.
So great.
So good.
I have an example that story brought up inside of me that's actually current. And this is about seeing the layers of belief under what we're aware of. There's just a lot of new opportunity coming for me. And then pain body freaking out and saying like, this isn't going to work. You're being delusional. And as Cami was talking, I could feel the level of freedom and the way my pain bodies will cut that off at the knees, because underneath is this fear that it's all gonna, what is it? It's like it's not safe, and that it's like that level of freedom will be taken away and there will just be heartbreak.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Beautiful articulation of that subtle place, right? Where that we're so afraid to even have the desire or the opportunities under us. We're so afraid to step into it because there's no way it could be that good, or there's no way that we could have it. And it's better to be
familiar and just a little
folded off and a little bit. Yeah. Keep a little bit of ourself in a way and not be so in the unknown, so vulnerable and exposed to life.
and luckily luckily the pain of believing that it can't happen is so painful that it keeps forcing me to go under and see the tender little one who's like just afraid of it being taken away.
Gorgeous. That's such beautiful articulation. And so like, I so get it. I so relate to that. Like I so know the fear of that level of exposure. We have conditioning that we're afraid to be safe.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. And that's legit. That's legit. Yeah. Yesterday, Megan, I was up against a really big one yesterday, and I was like, I'm in hell. Like, I don't know where delicious is. It's either here or here. And I think it's here, but I think that's my head. And my heart is here. And so which way? And I go a million ways around, smart, clear ways why this was it. And then equally so why this was it. And it was like, where is it? And I was so paralyzed. And Megan was like, why don't we just have dinner or have some food because you're really hungry? And I was like, I'm such an intense motherfucker. I cannot move until clarity shows itself. I'm just here. I've been starving for hours. I really do need food, but I can't fucking move until there's some level of clarity. Like, where is it? And then, oh my God, to be able to go okay, take everything away, everything away, and just listen to don't listen to the world. Don't listen to what everyone says. Don't listen to any therapist or coach or doctor or nothing, just nothing.
No strategy,
no plan. Take all the plan away. Take the story of anyone else away. And if it's just me, just this moment,
and just this body,
this moment, what does it want? And it was like, oh, it wants this one. It wants this. And then it was like, and then how did you know it was clear? I was like, let's get dinner. I'm so hungry. Let's eat. Clarity has arrived. Oh my God, that's clarity. And then over the course of the night, all this more intelligence and more sort of juiciness in a way came in. And so, and then over in the night, and then this morning, all this, it just from identifying where it was the level of juicy and delicious and freedom inside of me that just kept winning from that choice. And then, so we were saying, I was like, sometimes it's so hard to find it because surrender as an action, it's like God wants you to tie your hands, has you tied up like this, and then has you stripped naked
in stirrups,
with your clit or your dick wide exposed. That's surrender. That's actually what surrender means. Nerve is so fucking raw. With all of your pleasure, nerve endings, with no plan, no buffer, no filter, just in stirrups and tied up, and it's and tell me what you want. And tell me what you want, whatever you want. Pick the toy. Pick what you want. So, surrender is a hard place to go to. But,
yes,
but
radical.
I think the visual helps. I think understanding the visual of what it can be to extract what is true, what's actually true, what is your being, what is your, like, to just inhabit this being versus the safety of a plan, the safety of a strategy, the safety of something to do, which is, of course, not safe, not fucking safe. But it gives you a filter. It gives you a buffer. It gives you some kind of a plan. A plan. How juicy is a plan? It's so raw to be without all of that in the unknown, waiting for life to put up under you.
Yeah.
But then it will put it up under you, and your eyes will roll back in your head and your toes will and it will be so much better than you ever could have possibly imagined. And the freedom and juiciness that wins for the next moment is so big. It's so big. Yeah. So anybody else got a story about that?
So not a story, and it's hard to follow that one. But I did want to point out that you've described the first time through, and sometimes people can kind of fog out or eject, at some point. But something that really got me through a lot of that and provided so much expansion and evolution was that Kiran provides guidance that you just need to show up with willingness. Just show up and be willing. And so, the first time through this class, there was a lot of kind of not hearing everything that she was saying in the class, or not being able to find some of the things. There could be like finding and then seemingly losing the ability to find the feeling of what my belly wants, or the beautiful, having that realization that yes, the download of beautiful, but then having this kind of internal repulsion to it, because that would mean I'm beautiful too. So that there's this kind of juxtaposition of like kind of getting it and backing up and back and forward. But the fact is, just showing up with willingness is like, it's enough. And it provides so much kind of freedom, even stumbling through, for sure. I've stumbled through many courses, and there's just still freedom that arises. And so that's, from a perspective of taking the class for the first time, don't be disheartened, by a picture of, potentially, fogging out at times. There's still so much if you just lean into it.
I think also what you're saying, Laura, is like also the freedom to fog out, right? Like the freedom to stumble. And there's something really, really radical that you can't pre-know when the only invitation is like here's a very precise map. And so there's nothing you need to do, but just be willing. Just be willing. And maybe you take a step, maybe you don't take a step. Maybe you look at the assignment, maybe you don't look at the assignment. If there's just some willingness somewhere, you're already huge. You've already been shifted into a different operating system, which is the whole point, right? It's not going to be what I do, how I do it. Suddenly it's willingness and life. Doing like life is the doer. And that's the other operating system that we just keep gunning for in our work. Where's the other operating system? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Anybody got any questions? I'm sure there's like millions. Like what's a question? Where would I go for a question, Kiran?
I have a question for you. So you were saying right at the beginning that this is not intuitive eating. And I'm curious about how you yeah, how is it different? Like, why wouldn't you call it intuitive eating? Because that's kind of it's a thing right now. And people sometimes ask me like, oh, are you practicing intuitive eating? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. Just listening.
Okay, cool. I love it. I like to sometimes transpose it and put it into another area so we can kind of expose what we think this means, what we think the definition is. So if we look at like parenting, and we can talk about intuitive parenting versus conscious parenting. And what we're saying is two different things. Intuitive parenting is parenting in a way that my presets and my unquestioned habits think would be the way to go. So one of the intuitive parenting ways might be like an attachment parenting, right? Like it's just intuitive to me that you would parent by keeping your child physically very close to you and physically bonding and using the physical bond, which is what attachment parenting is, as a way to comfort my child, educate my child, help my child develop, that it would just be all through that physical bond. And so it's just an intuitive hit that that's the way to go. I can just feel it. It's just intuitive. Now, what we may not be conscious of is our agendas in those bonds, right? That my child's upset, so I'm bringing them into my body to stop crying, or to, there's lots of times there's an agenda of like, in a parent, an unseen agenda that the world is unsafe. Mm-hmm. And so I will bond with me, not the world, right? Filter every one of your experiences, especially for a younger child, through me, because then I can police and make sure you're safe, right? So there's all these elements of not enough inquiry, not enough consciousness on a habit, on a preset, on a condition, versus what we might call conscious parenting, which is to bring this level of awareness, so to tap awareness instead of a habit or a hit or a gut instinct, right? But to actually use awareness and letting awareness, which is fresh in every moment, be watching. And what we would do if we were on my level of conscious parenting, like if you were in my parenting course, which I have and haven't released, but it is there and any moment now. But it would be to be witnessing you, not your child, you first, and bringing that conscious awareness to these patterns and these habits. And then what it is to witness a child, just witness a child. So the child is seen, truly seen. Can't happen unless you're aware of what witnessing is, right? And so this is a finer, more precise, using a different operating system, right? We're not using a gut hit. We're not using a make sense to me, not making a my heart kind of gets it. That sort of soft language that lacks the precision and the accuracy of awareness. And so now if we move it back to like intuitive eating, right? Or we could use it for anything, right? Intuitive healing or intuitive communication, or, we're still in that same place of like, this makes sense to me without questioning the me, this feels right in my gut without questioning, where's your gut? Like, what is that exactly? Can you point to that? Can you put it in your hand? Can you draw me a map of it? It feels good in my heart. Okay, where's your heart? Can you hold it in your hand? Is it tangible? Can you draw me a map? Exactly. Then it's not conscious. And so I wouldn't even say that this is conscious eating. I'd say this is what we're looking for, is consciousness of our body and our being. And
it's just true. It's just awareness of what's actually true in the body in the moment. And that can just get dialed in and dialed in and dialed in more, versus a kind of, soft focus of what maybe sort of is happening. But you have a question.
Without questioning, without that real deep question or inquiry about it. Yeah. Answered. I love the question so much, because nothing pisses me off more than someone saying to me, oh, this is just like intuitive eating. Like, is it? But is it? But is it? The pause that you guys know so much with me. You say something and then Kiran goes, I see where you're coming from. You guys all like, it's like a knife in your heart every time. Kiran's pause. Kiran's like,
let's look together. That's what she'll say. Let's look together. See what's actually true.
I see you, but let's check. Let's just check. Yeah. Okay. We cover it. Yeah.
Any other newbies who would want to ask more about the class? How would that fit into dieting or losing weight?
Oh, hi.
From Savino.
Hi, Savino. Yeah. Well, I have a lot to say about that, because I was like, for sure, my piece. I remember like my journeys through class having such a story of like, I have to listen exactly and get it just right in order to lose weight. You know, that I need to, that, you know, and really underneath there is such a story that like my body's a problem. And if I'm holding the story that my body is a problem, so if life is a mirror, like everything's a mirror, my own body's a mirror, this is a mirror, right? Everything is just a mirror. And as I like to say, right, if you look in the mirror and your hair is a mess, you can't go to the mirror and straighten your hair. You have to come to your head and straighten your hair. And so if I'm holding the story that my body is a problem, the mirror will keep reflecting the body as a problem, not from my head, not like my mental story, because that's impotent. Your head is impotent. It's not going to affect the mirror. It's in my being. If I'm holding this deep belief system in a really in really intricate and private places in myself that I may not even know I am, but like there's a problem, then it's being mirrored back to me. And my body keeps representing a problem. And whether that's injury or weight or allergy or chronic something, it keeps being mirrored back. It keeps being mirrored back. It keeps being mirrored back. And so for me to be able to like constantly look at my story that my body is a problem. So that's deeper than I need to lose weight or I need to gain weight or I'm too skinny or I'm too big or I don't have the right abs or my shoulders or whatever the fuck it is, right? My boobs are too small, my boobs are too big, whatever it is, right? My thighs, whatever it is. If that's on the surface and I go deeper and I can see this core root of like, there's a problem. And underneath that core root, and always it is with body karma, is going to be a level of not safe. It's not safe. Which could be like, so I can't be loved, or I can't be desired, or I can't have the sex I want, or I can't belong. I can't belong. Like there's some level of not safe that's going to be playing out in that movement. And so long as my actions and my impulses keep moving from that belief system, the world will be mirrored back and mirrored back and mirrored back at me. And so it's not until I can consciously look right at it, the not safe piece or the unlovable piece or the not belonging piece, and not move from there, which is easier said than done, but it is simple, and not move from that place, then it changes. Like it's kind of different. It's like then life can just give me what life can give me. And so for most of my life was a real story that my body was a problem. And now it's like, are you kidding? I'm so fucking gorgeous. Like mother of God. Like you guys all know how fucking hot I am. Like, holy shit, this woman is fucking hot. And like, and it's a really different experience to feel it in my own bones, like feel in my own bones, like people, come on. Like in this incarnation, I get this incredible gift of being this super curvy, super amazing sex goddess. Like
great ass.
The incredible ass, incredible rack, my tits, like holy shit, my little tiny waist, like fuck me, you know, for that's in my story, my bones, like in my system. Like when I get dressed, I'm like, damn, you know, like that's how I move. It becomes irrelevant what the mirror does, like irrelevant in such a fucking liberation, like liberated, such a fulfillment and so juicy. It just doesn't fucking matter. But of course, there's this mirror that comes back, and like, you know, people just can't stop worshiping my ass everywhere I go. Like, it's just what happens. But so that's like the bigger piece of the journey. But more than that, like every time people do this class, like if you're really, really thin and you're like, oh shit, if I like, I'm just gonna, like, if I just listen, I'm gonna lose so much weight, like it's not gonna work. It never happens. It never happens, because the body is really good at regulating itself, and it will take care of itself. And our story of too much weight or our story of too skinny is not even real, but B, down the line, depending on how deeply you can inhabit the process, the body finds its right equilibrium, its right size, its right shape. Nobody's ever gained a lot of weight that wasn't really healthy and good for the body. And no one's lost a lot of weight that wasn't really healthy and good for the body. Like when we're not engaged in all of our programs, the body is very excellent at taking care of the body. The body does not have weight problems. It doesn't, like, you know, we don't eat what the body wants in our programs. And that's what creates the allergies, the health problems, the too much weight, too little weight. You know, that's what is creating it. It's not from listening. It's not coming from the body.
From life.
No. And everybody, it's like, even in the first year through, even if you just had 20% willingness, by the time you got to week 8 or 9, you feel this thrive. You feel this internal thriving, where it just feels, you feel very, very satiated with the food you eat. You feel very, very energized by the movement. You feel very inhabited in your body. You feel very empowered in your body, grounded. You feel sexy. Like there's your sexuality. And so there's this like, oh, this thrive place. And it's also very comfortable in the body. Like we often are disconnected from the body because we think it's really painful. But when we learn how to really inhabit it, it's really comfortable to be in the body, to locate it's like there.
Coming home.
It's coming home. It grounds. There's an inborn safety. It's home. It's our home. So did that answer it?
Yes. I have another, like there's something else that was coming to mind. Like not to play like devil's advocate, but I kind of trust that your position of self-acceptance, of accepting your body, is coming from the right mind. You know, you're actually loving yourself. But what you were saying about accepting yourself made me think about this recent movement, which is fat acceptance. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
I kind of get the sense that there's something cringy about that movement. Like there's kind of a wrong way of accepting yourself. And I see like the singer Lizzo. I don't know if you're familiar with Lizzo.
Lizzo. Okay.
Lizzo overly flaunting, or her clearly, you know, overweight without judging body, but I don't know if it's just me judging, or it's just that there is a right way to accept and a wrong way, they're kind of overly confident and just putting the fat in front of you, kind of like a bit immature, kind of I don't know how to put this, not the right way to accept. Is it me?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I totally hear you. It's great. It's beautiful to throw that out there. So let's look together. Let's find it together. So if there was, like, for you to accept you, if it wasn't about Lizzo, it wasn't about anything external, and it was just you to you, is there a cringe about like seeing yourself, loving yourself? Like, is there like, there's a way to do it that is really classy, elegant, integrated, and then there's a way to do that's like garish and loud and too in your face? Like, does that feel like in yourself?
Well, if in my particular case, I'm not overweight or anything like that. It's just
no, it doesn't. I'm just saying, like, your own body. Like, do you feel like you in your own body, like your shape, your body, your face, your hair, if you took all your clothes off and put all this jewelry on and just like walked around being like, I'm the shit, would that be like cringy? Or would you be like,
I think what's coming to mind is probably people searching for other people's acceptance rather than accepting themselves, like kind of like aggressively showing off your body to other people to say, you have to accept me, instead of me doing my inner work and accepting myself. I think this is what Lizzo, I don't know if it's the right pronunciation.
Yeah, Lizzo. Yeah.
She's overly aggressive. They're kind of a fat accept.
Okay, but just to like, yeah, I hear your question. I understand what you're saying, but like, you're not hearing my question. So let's see if you can hear my question. So my question is about you. It's not about Lizzo. It's not about other people. It's not even about fat or weight. So my question is for you. Can you, in yourself, in your own acceptance of yourself, just you to you, is there a place that you feel it's a little gross? It's a really little ugly. It's a little pushing.
Yes, of course. Yes, I can say that. You know, yes. I can go
okay,
there.
Cool. Yes, exactly. So when you first asked the question, you're like, maybe this is me, but is there a thing? And what we're just seeing right now in your question is, well, it's certainly in you, right? To yourself. It's certainly there to you. And what would be really liberating and juicy and important for you, because who the fuck cares about Lizzo? Because who the fuck cares about fat acceptance? Like, how does that have anything?
Lose the conversation, really. It's just that just to play the
exactly. But the point, but there is a good point for you in it, right? Because what does matter, what is important, is your level of being able to witness yourself in absolute celebration of yourself. And there's a place you can't move there. There's a kind of a self judgment in yourself that it feels slightly aggressive if you were to like do it to yourself. It feels cringy. Does that make sense?
No, I didn't understand. Like that I may feel this about myself. That's what you're trying to say.
What I'm saying is that you're projecting on Lizzo or on the fat movement something that's actually alive inside of you. Okay. It's not about fat and it's not about Lizzo. It's not anything. It's a movement inside of you, and you're being distracted by the fat movement or by Lizzo. But in reality, in actual present day reality, it doesn't fucking matter to you. Like, this is not in your everyday world. Like this is not you getting up and having breakfast or you going to work, right? Like it's that's irrelevant. That's such a faraway mirror. Where it is relevant is inside of you. And so where is, it looks like, is it true? Is it accurate? Or is it a judgment? And the point is because it feels like it feels accurate. It feels accurate that there's this aggressiveness that feels accurate. But in reality, one, it's not accurate. And two, what is accurate is that there's a judgment in you about you, not about them, because they're not there.
I'm always willing to see that.
What's that?
Like, I'm always willing to explore this about myself.
Yeah. And that's really what that external projection is actually giving you. It's giving you an internal look.
Sort of matching that kind of, I don't know, yes, probably like get pissed about that kind of aggressive, no, you accept me kind of vibe. I
think it's even deeper than that. I think there's a movement in yourself.
I don't like that.
Feels like,
I feel like it's. I don't like it. It's not coming from the right mind. That's what I feel.
But that right there, that's the judgment. That there's a right mind and a wrong mind is a judgment you have about yourself. It looks like you have it about the world, but there's no world. It doesn't actually exist. It's just you. And you have a doer inside of you, a controller inside of you that's saying right and wrong. And you think that's keeping you safe. Right mind and wrong mind. And if I come from the right mind, then ultimately I'll be safe. Like these discernments, these projections, that seem accurate are actually going to keep me safe. But they aren't, because there isn't a right mind there and a wrong mind. There is only what's true in a moment, not a general rule, but like what's actually alive. And inside of you, it's a place of limited freedom, right? You can only be free if you come from the right mind.
Yes. The
right mind is where your freedom is. And being able to spot the wrong mind, overly aggressive, is important, or you won't win your freedom. That's not accurate. That's not accurate.
Yeah.
What's
I hope you understand
accurate?
My point. I'm not going against people which are more curvy, because I respect.
There's not, but what I'm saying, Savino, is I understand your point.
Right?
I understand what you're saying. Can you understand my question? Can you understand
what I'm trying
me?
to say is that part of my getting pissed with this movement is a projection of my ego or whatever, my wrong mind, which is fine for me to understand. It's like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Good. And then there's juice for you there. There's actually juice for you to notice when inside you're going wrong, right, and to question it. Is that true? And the way you question it, does it bring me life and freedom and aliveness, or does it limit and kind of put some control in and a little bit of depletion in? And that's the movement. It's really juicy, Savino. It's a great question. Like, it's a really great, it's beautiful. It's beautiful how it's like, yeah, here's this thing I see in the world, and it seems like this is what I'm seeing, right? And then it's like everybody can relate to that. Like, yeah, but then when we come inside and we see it's actually it's nothing to do with that. It has to do with the way that the seer is controlling itself. It's a little bit like in that scene from The Matrix where it's like these kids are all trying to bend the spoon. And then it's like, no, it's not the spoon.
There is no spoon.
There's no spoon. It's in your cells. It's in your mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's not Lizzo. There's not anything. There's not, curvy or fat or whatever the fuck the story is, right? Like, none of that fucking impacts your life in reality. Not really. But what is impacting your life is the mind, that piece of right mind, wrong mind. Like, this is my ego. This is not my ego. This, there's a level of control in that storyline. And that piece of control is trying to keep you in the right mind. It's telling you that's how I'll have freedom. But it's the problem of your freedom.
And in class, we're talking about pulling these things out, right? That extraction process of pulling out right and wrong. And that's the work that's just between you, and you taking awareness and looking at that right and wrong piece and finding what's actually true without it. And the level of freedom and juice that you win in that is endless. But you're not going to get any of that if you're inside the filter. So, but it's not easy, and it is surgical.
Yeah.
And so right now we're just hitting on that wound.
We're just hitting at it. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe my English is limited, so probably I don't follow.
No,
we understand it exactly. Does everyone understand his question? Just nod. You get it. You can hear it. It makes sense. We all get it.
Totally the reasoning.
You don't have to keep explaining it. We heard you.
Yeah,
they heard you.
The fact that I kind of feel that's only one of the things I may find. I may just judge a little bit.
Yes, because that wound of yours will endlessly cast itself onto the world, right?
Yeah,
and you've got so many things to go.
Like, for example, I don't know, politicians. I can speak about that.
Yeah,
many other
sure.
things. I'm not only against fat or like.
So many wrong things.
So many things. There's so many things that are wrong.
Yes, yes. When you've got that filter on, for God's sake, everywhere you look.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I give an example of how a very similar one?
When do you do?
Yes. Savino, Britta's going to come in.
I have an example in my own life that's very similar, because I have a very strong program of right way, wrong way. Very similar, like right mind, ego, got to get it right. And as I've taken these courses, I've discovered it's really about isolation and belonging and safety. So currently, my friend Sarah and I are starting to collaborate, and I can tell life is like asking me to expose myself publicly more in certain ways. And my version of this program is coming up and saying, like, that desire that's presenting as delicious in your body is superficial. It's in people's face. It's trying to get attention. It's probably very similar scenarios as like this person is superficial or being too over the top. But the way that life is showing me it's a program is that the freedom of what life is asking me to do keeps knocking. And so I keep seeing them side by side. Like in my body, this feels like an exhale. And then the next day, the fear and belief program comes up so strong and says like, no, you're going down the wrong path. This is superficial. It's wrong. You're wrong. You're being led astray by the wrong people. But it's only because life keeps showing me this is what you want, this is what's in the way, that I see it. Otherwise, I would never see it. So yeah, I don't know if maybe that's helpful. I don't know.
Yeah, right. I think it's really great because it cuts in that story. Like, yeah, all these things I think are wrong, and yeah, exactly. We can have a litany of what it is, but those are positions. It's a mental position. And because it's a position, you're stuck in a position. It doesn't give you the range, this huge range that's actually available to you in every moment. And it may not be that you suddenly love fat or politicians, but it gets to be that you have more range and more freedom in a moment, just in one moment in yourself, that there's more opportunity. Life is giving you opportunity, but you're walking past it in a position, in this position. And in fact, there is actually opportunity, but you would have to leave the position. And so the problem is the position, not fact or politicians, or it's the position.
By the way, it's not fat. I have nothing against fat. It's more like that movement. It was like, I feel like
no one's going to take it personally here, buddy. No one's taking it personal. Yeah, it's no problem.
But anyway, so like, yeah, but how do you go about these things? Like discerning a thing you don't like and not making an ego position about it, you know, like I don't like this, I don't like that, I'm so right. You know, obviously the ego likes to finding things he doesn't like because he feels like, oh, I'm right, the world is wrong. I can understand that, but you still need a discerning mind, I guess.
Absolutely. You need a discerning awareness,
yeah.
Not mind. And awareness is great at discernment and
like
great
I
at
don't like this thing much. That's all I want to say is like,
yeah. And so I'll help you be clear. The thing you don't like is the aggressiveness.
I prefer your kind
right?
of acceptance than the Lisa one. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. To be clear, exactly. Sorry, I'm doing it wrong by saying fat because it's clearly not fat for you. It's clearly about the aggressiveness of the acceptance or the aggressiveness of the politics versus something that feels more organic and more natural and more fluent, right? Like that's the piece you're trying to point out.
Authentic.
And yeah, authentic versus what feels inauthentic. But what I'm pointing out is that there's a position there. And you're right, like unearthing that position is not going to give you less discernment, and it's not going to give you less boundary. These are incredibly important and really essential, and they come with awareness. But it's leaving the operating of the mind's position and moving into awarenesses, boundaries, and awarenesses, discernment. And those are alive in a moment and lead you to freedom, not a set position.
Yeah.
And how do you do it? Well, come to class. It's slow and it's a process. And it's a process of noticing, getting conscious and shifting operating systems, coming from a new place is what that is. But beautiful process. Thank you very much. It was beautiful to expose.
I love the way you accept yourself. Like, I guess we all have to learn something from that. Like yes, you know, because obviously there may be something about my body, or anybody can feel this, that they want to change it and not particularly happy about. So we can learn from that.
Yeah. And it's a real beautiful question about what is authenticity versus what my mind thinks it is, you know?
Yes, I kind of get that. I don't want to get judgmental again, but that side of acceptance in that movement, it's kind of different from what you're doing.
But it's kind of irrelevant because that's the mind assuming where authenticity is and thinking it's accurate. Because I would argue that Lizzo is better than I am at authentic acceptance. I would argue that. Yes. Yeah. Anybody else think so?
Absolutely. She kills master of acceptance.
She's such a master. Mm-hmm. She's a killer. She kills it. But it's not about that, right? Mm-hmm. It's about there's a position in you that's seeing authenticity or inauthentic and thinks it's accurate. And I get it. I so get it. Like we all get it. We are constantly recognizing that our projections, which we would have sworn were accurate, we would have put money on the table that was accurate. And it's not accurate. It's not actually, it's a filter. It's a filter from our mind. It's not from awareness.
Because it will be like me, like I accept myself, I'm going to undress myself and go into public spaces and be naked. And it's that, yes, okay, I accept my naked body, but why would I do such a thing just to overtly be that kind of overt?
Right there's the filter.
Right there's your filter, love. That's the filter. Yeah. It's inaccurate.
I think Liza or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what she's
I'm not saying that in your own discernment and your own awareness, you would go naked. Maybe you never would. Maybe who knows? Maybe you would, like, we don't know. Like, I'm not pointing to the action. I'm pointing to the impulse. I'm pointing to the filter. I'm not pointing to the content. I'm pointing to the thing that's brewing the content. And because that's where you're going to win your freedom. Okay, I'm going to close that conversation, though, Savino, and let you just let you reflect on it. But it's a beautiful example. Thank you so very much. And I think we're just going to wrap it up because we're way over time.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. It's great.
Super delicious.
Super great. Mm-hmm. Super great.
Oh, good. See everybody's faces.
See everyone's faces. Well, Holly's not with us anymore. Oh, there's
Hazel.
Hazel.
There's Hazel.
Yeah.
There's
Mwah, 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 mwah. Good night, you guys.
Thank you guys.